Sipping it with Mittens, joking about his name is so fly. Mittens, cause he whipping, don't you get it, but that stove's hot, hot. Now let this be a lesson, professor. He handling and hitting his possession. Ooh, what you cooking, what you cooking? Scalding hot beats, but blow up before it's cooking. Ooh, I know you're looking true. I'm Miley taking with this beat, I'm a lady man. I'm really trying to date it out. What's the number trying to call out? What about my team? Wood, shout it, don't get logged out. Made by Bethesda, the only way we fall out. Morocco, you a mole. Find another hole to crawl out. Hey, I'm sick of squirrel with the biggest girls. Laces the case get up. I think you're stripping, girl. Damn, how sound that cliche, right? Well, I flame out brain. I'm the PK type. Come and rest in my nest. I'm a bet that night. Metaphor, girl, you gon' get that pipe. Whoa, wrong song.
All right, so let's have a bit of a conversation about a pretty hot topic on Twitter at the moment, being hashtag Black Ops 2. Sorry, sorry about that. And the talks of remastering, which has been going on for years, to be honest, especially since we've walked into this new console generation, and I guess some of the significance of what the circumstances are. Now, I don't actually want to talk about a remake. I don't know. We'll see. If not, I'll wait till the next video to talk about that. But let's talk about how all this started, essentially. One, Black Ops 2 or hashtag Black Ops 2 has been something on Twitter forever, as I'm sure every game that's held a large amount of popularity has that. So that's nothing in particularly new, and people have always contributed to it. That's why the thread's so long. But I think it was the gaming revolution who had it was a fake tweet, but a fake tweet from Treyarch is basically saying that, yeah, we realize that all of our games kind of suck, and you guys really want Black Ops 2 back. We'll give you guys free maps, yada yada yada. Now, it was obviously fake, because at the time that this all happened, I think their tweets at like the 30th or the 31st of December, and we were clearly still in the 20s. So it was a thing. But it was funny. But not just that. It also, and so, shouts out to the gaming revolution for that one. But at the same time, though, too, it brought a level of nostalgia back into Call of Duty again. I'd like to say Call of Duty as a whole, but not necessarily. Really just into the older Call of Duties, for the most part, which is what led to people's it was a list that was compiled of all the Call of Duties by year, and then people went ahead and voted on what was their favorite Call of Duty. Black Ops 2 and Black Ops, obviously, pretty much made it on the top of that list. Modern Warfare 2, I think, was definitely in the top 3, because why wouldn't it be? And I want to talk a little bit, if I may, just about Black Ops 2 in general, on why it was as popular as it was, why no Call of Duty has ever really touched it since, despite the numbers that they throw at you, which even they admitted, nothing has touched Black Ops 2. And if a remake, or remaster, theoretically, I guess you could say it'd be a remake, which we're going to eventually get one of those, as you saw with Modern Warfare. We're going to eventually get a remake of the Black Ops series, and or at least 1 and 2, and that is kind of scary, maybe, especially looking at how Modern Warfare came about. It was a good try, though, and everybody has to kind of fail once, right? And then maybe they can pick up the pieces. But I think with Black Ops 2, at least the hashtag, is one of the big things for myself, is the fact of watching older Call of Duty commentators, or just people who were just really well known for stuff, because I wasn't on Twitter when Black Ops was first released back in 2012. Seeing them put up clips that I've seen all over YouTube, or you've seen that stuff on like Tumblr or whatever, or you've seen it, even see that stuff get floated around on Twitter now, especially if you follow Call of Duty channels or commentators. It was nice getting to see that. It was nice getting to see not just the trick shots, but just people making amazing plays, things of that sort. A Call of Duty commentator that I've been following for a number of years, who I still follow, 402 Thunder, had made like a video or two talking about this, at least one for sure, where he had showed some clips of some of his best plays. It was kind of nice to kind of get a chance to see the Call of Duty community kind of come together about something that they really liked. And yet at the same time, you're like anybody else, you're going to have your namesayers. You're going to have people who are going to say, oh, well, Black Ops 2 is overrated, so on and so forth. which is the same thing they said about Modern Warfare, to be honest. Some people say that about Modern Warfare too. To be honest with you, Call of Duty is just, in my opinion, is the last great Call of Duty game that we got. Nothing has touched it. And don't get me wrong, it's not like there was a problem with them innovating or trying something different, because eventually we were going to demand that. But what you're seeing with the fall, or with the collapsing, if you will, of the Call of Duty series, and no matter how you look at it, that's really what it is. It's collapsing. Is the fact that having a yearly gaming cycle didn't work. Black Ops 2 should have been that game should have been that game that the executives were like, at Activision, should have been like, okay, we're making crazy money. The Call of Duty competitive community, or pro community, whatever, they're, you know what I'm saying, they've never had this much interest on it since Black Ops. You know what I mean? And they're bringing in even more younger players, even more teams are being formed. Like, if you think about it, Black Ops 2, for the most part, was running on all cylinders. Everything kind of came together in this semi-perfect storm in such a way, or a pseudo-perfect storm, to maybe we don't need to have a yearly cycle. Maybe we can put it off the next Call of Duty for another year or two. Now, granted, they wouldn't have necessarily known that till the game released, but all of the promotion and everything that went into it, and then the reception that they ended up getting in return, should have been enough to be like, okay, whatever game you guys were thinking about working on, the next studio, shelve that. Or you guys got more time to work on it. We're going to sit with this for maybe a second year, maybe even a third year. Which, for the Call of Duty competitive community, or pro community, sorry, I'll just say pro community from here on out, that would have definitely benefited them, because, I mean, I don't think there was ever a time that pro Call of Duty was as interesting and people were really as invested as that. A lot of people who are, at least from what I've seen, I should say, a lot of people who still follow pro COD, it's almost as if they've been doing it for a long time, so they just kind of continue doing it. Or, you know, or it's kind of like you're almost forcing yourself to do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, pro COD is not really interesting anymore, to be honest. But then again, there's so much complaints going on, people crying about weapons, so on and so forth. It's a thing. It's whatever. And that's understandable. That's their profession. You know, you got to feel a certain type of way. My opinion about pro COD has always been, if you're being paid to play a game professionally, you should be able to handle whatever it is that the game has to offer. You should be able to work within those parameters. There shouldn't be, you know, certain handicaps or certain things conveyed in your guys' benefit, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, they should be able to use every weapon. Equipment is another thing. Score streaks, I can understand that too. But for weapons, every weapon should be able to be used. And all this nerfing and this, that, and the third, it was, I don't know. It was really bad at Black Ops 2, if any of you guys were heads for that, because they were nerfing weapons for a while there. They were nerfing them like every other week, which leads to another problem that I had with that, and and then we'll jump off this particular subject, is that we had, you know, like your actual lobbies, right? You know, your casual lobbies, if you will. And then you had league play. And I thought league play was a great idea. A lot of people did. Well, if the pros want shit to be nerfed or buffed, if you will, right? Then why don't they do all that in just league play? Because that's where most of those guys are scrimming at anyway. Why would you guys mess up the casual community to cater to the pro community when them guys are supposed to be scrimming anyway? So why can't they go ahead and deal with that shit in there, in league play, where all them dudes are going to be at anyway? But that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. But as it pertains to Black Ops, and like I said, it being the last great Call of Duty game as far as I'm concerned, and the kind of revival on Twitter as well as other social media about it, I think this should tell Activision that, hey, you know, maybe a remaster, obviously, like I said, they're going to probably do a remake of it, but a remaster should definitely be in the works. And don't hit us with the bullshit like, oh, you guys will get a campaign, you guys might not get a multiplayer. Okay, you guys are going to get a multiplayer. Just re-release the game. You know what I'm saying? Just, if you're going to remaster it, clean it up. You know what I'm saying? Clean up the graphics and everything, make it all nice and tidy, and then just ship it back out to us. I don't even want them touching anything about gameplay, because that's going to lead into a whole nother can of worms in itself. So just touch it up and put it out. And then if they're going to attach their microtransactions to it, which is probably one of the reasons why it's taking so long for us to get a remaster of Black Ops 2, it's because they're trying to figure out how they're going to microtransaction it up. And why wouldn't they? To be honest, this is something we should be expecting. But I think that's one of the big hang-ups. When you look at Black Ops 2 in general, one of the biggest things that at least I appreciated about it was the amount of control that I had. I have control over my loadout of my weapons and what I can do with it. It's something that they have slowly but surely have taken away from us over the years. They can go ahead and give you a semblance or the illusion, if you will, of actual control over your builds and over your kits or over your setups or whatever the case may be. I think I'm trying to think what Fisticuff used to call them. I guess he called them loadouts, or he may have called them sets, or kits. But whatever your loadout is, yeah, they may have given you the illusion of that now, but at least in Black Ops 2, you really had that. In Ghost, that ended up following it, it was all right. The system was, it might have been a little too much what they were trying to do in Ghost, but I mean, I still appreciate it. It was still fun, kinda, until it died out quick. But Black Ops 2 gave you some real control. It was kind of all really point and shoot. Nothing was really overly complicated. And it was really, as far as I'm concerned, the last pure run and gun. You know what I mean? Like, you needed tactics. There was no gimmicks. There was no real bullshit. There is no one weapon that you can go out there with and you're just going to dominate a lobby. You still need to use your noodle. You know what I'm saying? And while you're out there, you need to still use some brains. And you really had to think. You had to learn your maps. You had to know, you know what I'm saying? You needed the basics that older Call of Duty players / YouTubers basically instilled into everybody who came after them. It was a thing. You know what I mean? And which is another thing on Twitter too. It was funny seeing some of these older Call of Duty heads, especially on YouTube, who had all these complaints in the world. Not all of them, but they would bitch every once in a while about Black Ops 2 this, Black Ops 2 that. And now you see them singing all their praises because everybody wanted change, and the change came very radically, and it continued to do so over the span of continuing cycles, which would be 3 games, 3 studios, and now everybody kind of just hates it. On top of that factor, Call of Duty, let's be perfectly honest with each other, will probably never be as big as it was back in 2012, 2013. It's never going to get like that again. You're never going to see. I should never say never. I've kind of already committed to it, so I'm just going to go with it. You may. Okay, let's do this. You may never see 1 million concurrent users on any console on Call of Duty ever again. We may never see that again. Those days are probably over. And it's not just a matter of, Activision screwed us up, or the actual game studios try to do too much, or whatever the case may be. It's just the climate has changed too. We're all different now. We've all grown since all of that has happened. Even if they re-released Call of Duty now, I mean, I could see easily 300,000 or 400,000 people on Xbox. I'd say equally as many people on PlayStation. PC, hard to say. Definitely, they would definitely probably break 100,000, maybe. But it'll never be what it was. It was, sometimes you can't really catch lightning in a bottle like that. You know, things come and go. Things kind of happen at a particular time, at a particular place, and it happens that once and that's it. I think the failed opportunity was they could have extended the Black Ops 2 life cycle. And even though we're going through the remakes, as I've spoken about earlier, and you're going through these remasters, you saw Modern Warfare, and that was something. I think Black Ops should be the next one up. I'm looking forward to seeing what that remake's going to look like, or remaster, sorry. I'm anxious to see how they're going to handle that remastering, if they ever do it. It'll probably still be a couple years till we get Black Ops 2. As Thunder said, we'll probably see it again in another decade, or within the next decade. I don't know if we'll still hold that interest. I think it has, by then it'll be more of a cult, like a cult following, if you will. You know what I mean? than people still kind of on the fence and really wanted to grasp at the nostalgia of it all. Nostalgia. Sorry about that. So that's just my general opinion. I'm happy to see Black Ops 2 trending. I'm happy to see that people are reliving a lot of their memories and putting it online for other people to see. I saw some of a couple of Call of Duty editors that I hadn't seen since Black Ops 2 go ahead and throw some stuff up that I haven't seen in a very, very long time. So it was great to see that. It was just kind of nice to see, at least for the last couple of days, the community, or at least within the Call of Duty community at large, but certainly the Black Ops community, come back out and voice their opinion and be like, hey, we want this. No, but then again, that's what needs to kind of be pushed if we're ever going to get it. We may never get it, to be honest. But I think it's still something that is it not worth speaking up for? I wouldn't say necessarily fighting for, but is it not worth speaking on? You know what I mean? It was, and like I said, everybody's going to have their opinions of it. It's overrated, it's not that great, and Modern Warfare 2 is better, so on and so forth. But everybody's going to play it because that's where everybody's at. At the end of the day, Call of Duty's always been, as Fisticuff as well as other people have said, it's always been a social game. You know what I mean? It's always been a social game. And win, lose, or draw, salt or not, that's always what it's been at its basis. And now, it's not like that. You know what I'm saying? You don't have... When you jump on the new Call of Duty, or new Call of Duties, I should say, you don't feel the same way anymore. It's kind of like, alright, well, I'm just kind of doing this as some people. Oh, they're just doing this as a time waster. Oh, I'm doing this just because I'm looking at, showing that I'm better and beasting it up. What happened to the fun factor of it all? When was the last time, ladies and gentlemen, that you guys had a Call of Duty that was actually fun for you to actually play? You're not forcing it to be fun. You know what I'm saying? You're not desperate to have it be fun. It was just fun. When's the last time we've had that? When's the last time any of you have had that? And that's what Call of Duty has been missing for a very long time. Black Ops 2 kind of encompasses all that. You have fun weapons. You have great maps. You have, score streaks were great. Score streaks were fun. There haven't been really good score streaks since then. Everything kind of... Not to take something from Bethesda, but it actually worked. Does it have its hang-ups? Is the game perfect? No game is. But I would have to say, it's still the last great Call of Duty game. It's the last great one. You know what I mean? We haven't... Everything else, as far as I'm concerned, has been downhill. Now, I know a lot of people like to kind of cling on to Black Ops 3, which is an okay game. Black Ops 4, which is also an okay game. But it's just... It's not fun. It's not fun in the way that Black Ops 2 or even Black Ops 1 made me feel. But then again, like I said, things change over time. How you perceive and how you look at things have changed. But that's my general opinion. In the next video, we're gonna talk about we're gonna talk a little bit. Probably won't be a little bit. Probably be long-winded. We're gonna talk about remakes and remasters. The remake and the remaster of Black Ops 2, to be honest, and some of my concerns going into both. You would think for at least a remaster it should be easy. We live in, sadly, we kind of live in a day and age though where it's all about bleeding everything to its last final drop, and because of that, there are going to be some things are going to suffer, sadly. If Modern Warfare hasn't taught you that up to this point when it comes to remakes, I don't know what will. Movies are a really good example too. It's kind of just the cost of doing business. So, in truth, we may never actually get Black Ops 2 the way you remember it, unless you go ahead and get yourself, if you don't still currently have one, get yourself a 360 or get yourself a PS3, buy yourself a copy of the game, go online, and see if you can make that work. Which, I was on there earlier today, and there was, like 15, 20,000 people on the PS3. I'm not sure how many on Xbox. So it's nice to see that, it's still drumming up some support. In closing, I would also have to say, despite everything I've said up to this particular point, that we shouldn't give up on what you would consider the classics, right? Your classic Call of Duty games. One of the best examples I could probably give you is a few years ago. I don't know if he was a YouTube streamer or content creator, or if he was a Twitch streamer. I can't remember now. I apologize, but I think he was German. I think, and he started playing Black Ops 1, and it just over the span of a couple of days, which ended up turning into a couple of weeks, into a couple months, it's just started to get really, really big. This huge revival for it came up. Like I said, I apologize. I can't think of the content creator's name or the streamer, but it just goes to show if you love something and you have other people who feel the exact same way, you guys can pull together and still have a good time in a game that was what, 8 years old, I guess, maybe if not longer, almost 10 years old, I guess, at that point. So it's just kind of something to take into consideration for those who, like I said, are still in the Black Ops. A lot of people just kind of stepped away from Call of Duty after a while, and for good reason. You know, there are other games out there. After a while, it's easy to get burnt out on COD. It's extremely easy to get burned out on COD. Look at a lot of your Call of Duty commentators. You know what I mean? Guys who I used to watch used to be able to pull 400, 500, 600,000 views on a video easy. You know what I mean? I used to binge watch people's videos over and over again and whatnot. Now, I mean, if they can scrape together, 6 or 7, if they can, I wouldn't say scrape together, that's not fair. If they can pull 60 or 70,000, I would assume it's something. You know what I mean? It's not what it was, but it's certainly something. It's just something that kind of happens. But I'd like to say, in closing, that we're in a pretty interesting spot right now when it comes to opportunities, and I hope we don't waste it. To be honest, I hope something actually comes out of this, whether for better or for worse. To be honest, but I'd like to see it. At the same time, though, too, I wouldn't want my memories of Black Ops 2 or Black Ops to be screwed over either. And Activision's kind of good for that. But that's just my general thoughts on it. If you guys have a thought on any of this at all, please leave a comment down below if you feel inclined to do so. I very much appreciate it. And then, like I said, the next video we'll talk a little bit about whenever I decide to do that. I have some videos that I have to do before this. We'll talk a little bit about remakes and remasters and some of the concerns that come with that, as well as some of the pros. And we'll see what Black Ops 2 has to offer us in a couple years, which is when all of that would probably be expected anyway. Anyway, thank you guys very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. And I'll see you guys, for the next Call of Duty video. I'll see you guys next time. For the stuff that I normally do on this channel, expect that definitely sooner. Take care of yourselves, guys. See you later.
What you cooking? Scouting high beats was blow up before it's cooking. I know you're looking true. I'm out attacking with this beat on my lady, man. I'm really tryna date it out. What's the number tryna call out? What about my team? Wood, shout it, don't get logged out. Made by Bethesda, the only way we fall out. Morocco, you a mole. Find another hole to crawl out. Hey, I'm sick of squirrel with the biggest girl. Slay sister, case get up. I think you're stripping, girl. Damn, how sounding cliche, right? Well, I flame out brain. I'm the PK type. Come and rest in my nest. I'm a bet that night. Metaphor girl, you gon' get that pipe. Whoa, wrong song, I'm thinking about bum bum. Chicka, wow, the calling of my slong. The snapping of her thong, the rapping of this song. So tell you this boy's gifted, giving you my own. So, hey, now what's better than that? Hey, now what's better than that? Hey, and it don't stop. Coach Crew gon' rockin' it, don't stop. Coach Crew gon' rockin' it, don't stop. I'm just a nerd. Hey, and it don't stop. Coach Crew gon' rockin' it, don't stop. Coach Crew gon' rockin' it, don't stop. I'm just a nerd, shout it. Hey, I'm just a nerd, shout it. Hey, I'm just a nerd, shout it. Street Fighter 2, that is my dude. Dark Cloud 2, that is the new. I like RPGs and everything. Metal Gear Solid, man, that's my swing. Hey. And it don't stop. Hey.